Gracias por estar con nosotros. Yo soy Mario Decunto. Estamos aquí en tu comunidad y hoy estamos con una persona especial, senadora Audrey Gibson, que se está postulando para alcaldesa o alcalde de la ciudad de Jacksonville. Audrey, thank you for being here today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
Thank you. Todo el mundo sabe de inglés y español, pero vamos a ir traduciendo. Está muy contenta de estar con nosotros hoy.
Un poquito español.
Un poquito español. Ah, muy bien. Hay que saber un poquito, ¿no? Siempre. We are excited to have you on the show so that you can tell us a little bit about your candidacy. What is it that drove you to want to represent our city? Because no sé si todos saben, pero la senadora ha servido la ciudad nuestra como senadora en nuestra capital, Tallahassee, de Florida, por muchos años. How many years did you serve as senator? And I guess you've been serving for many years. I've asked you a lot of questions, didn't I?
Well, I started in the Florida House in 2002 and served my full term 8 years. And in 2011, in a special election, I was elected to the Florida Senate. And my term just ended this past November. So.
Okay. Entonces, sí, desde hace 20 años que empezó como representante nuestra en el Congreso de Florida y después de ahí se pasó a ser senadora, obviamente por elecciones, ganó sus 2 términos y ahora ya se han completado. So now you have an opportunity to continue representing us, but with this amazing experience that you bring to the table.
Absolutely. And so some think that legislators, when you're working in Tallahassee, you're just always in Tallahassee, and that's actually not the case. Obviously, we go for committees in session, but most of at least half of the year, and in between, you're at home. And so when I am at home or was at home during my legislative service, I made it a point to always be in some community or another, some meeting or some activity or at the senior centers, very much engaged in my community.
Yes, yes, you have been engaged and you're always involved in different opportunities, and I do know that there's a couple of events that you're going to be at too as well, where people can meet you. Van a haber unos eventos donde van a poder conocer a la senadora y para traducir un poquito lo que nos ha dicho es que siempre ha sido muy activa en la comunidad, siempre ha sido parte de los convenios dentro de la ciudad y no siempre pasaba su vida en la capital, sino pasaba la mitad del año acá en Jacksonville tratando con los problemas locales que tenemos. Así que qué suerte que la podemos tener acá. So you were telling us about the events that are coming up, or I was actually bringing that up.
Yes, you were.
Would you like to talk about that?
Well, I want to just back up a little bit too, when
do.
you talk about the experience, engaged in the community. So I've never been out of touch. I've always been in touch,
yes,
and not just in my district, even though I represented over half of Jacksonville as a member of the Florida Senate, and a smaller district within that district as a member of the House. And so I am very familiar with all of the needs across this city and all of the great venues and see what we could be for all the people of Jacksonville.
Y siempre nos dice la senadora que siempre ha representado toda la ciudad de Jacksonville, por lo menos la mitad, y después otras secciones dentro de Jacksonville siendo senadora y representante de Florida al nivel del estado. Y por eso ella ya conoce mucho del funcionamiento del estado y de la ciudad, y también quiere tratar de empezar a enfocar más en lo que es lo cultural, en the cultural segments, porque sí parece que se ha perdido ese enfoque cultural nuestro. So it sounds like we've kind of lost a little bit of focus of our cultural, of the cultures of Jacksonville. and you want to bring that back.
I want to make sure that we celebrate our cultural togetherness, because that's what the city is supposed to do. And so we know, as we kind of talked about before we started, and that the demographics in our city has changed. And I believe that we need a mayor who recognizes that and is sure to incorporate cultural recognition and have cultural recognition capacity, right? If you don't have diverse experiences like I do, among and with all kinds of communities, or different kinds of communities, or different flavors of communities, I will put it that way, then I question the leadership capacity as mayor of this city.
La senadora nos dice que quiere tratar de celebrar, las distintas culturas dentro de la ciudad y poder ahí enfocar más en el crecimiento y de invertir más en lo que es el entorno total de la ciudad. How are some of the ways that you're thinking about doing that?
Well, in terms of first with the riverfront development that's going on, I've always made it a point to let the folks at the Downtown Investment Authority, or whatever their last part of their name is called.
It is complicated.
Yeah, and so to make sure that as plans are developed, that that development includes cultural representation, whether that's art, whether that's making sure there's diverse music or diverse places to dine, just making sure we include cultural participation in particular, and that culture is represented in whether that's part of the building or all of those things are important,
right?
And recognizes the totality of our city.
And you're talking about the changes that are happening where the landing was? Is it the landing? The old landing?
The entire riverfront.
And in front of the stadium and all that?
Yes, it's important.
Yeah.
And
so I'll do a quick...
okay.
Lo que quiere asegurar que la nueva construcción que se está haciendo al lado del río, al lado del centro y donde está la cancha de los Jaguars, poder asegurar que va a haber una representación e inversión en lo que es la cultura hispana y tener más representación nuestra, cultural también, para asegurar que todas las culturas están representadas y que la gente se sienta más incluida cuando se viene a esos eventos del downtown, ¿no? So you want more inclusion for our downtown.
Yes. And I am going to be laser focused as mayor on small business development. There are communities that have been promised under consolidation, things that they still don't have. It's very neglected communities, and others coming online, as a matter of fact. Arlington is one of those areas that has been left to deteriorate. It's not, I want to make sure it's not the fault of the current council person. It's been happening over the years. And so small business development in Black and brown communities develops communities, right? So it infuses those neighborhoods with the ability to have economic development and more signature type stores. In a large part of the African American community on the north side, between downtown and all the way to the airport, practically, there are no grocery stores. It's just absurd. And so small business development, in my mind, helps the local community because it's locally owned. That's the opportunity to put local people to work in the community.
That's right.
That keeps the income and the cash flow in the community, and then there's possibility to raise the quality of life in those communities.
That's right, that's right. Importante también invertir en nuestras comunidades para poder también traer más negocios grandes y también invertir en esos locales para poder asegurar que esos dólares quedan en la comunidad. También la senadora, I don't want to forget because we have a couple minutes left, but I do want to bring up your the federal dollars that you're looking at, your organizations. No hay que olvidarnos que la senadora tiene muchas conexiones con la capital de Washington, D.C. y también tiene conexiones al nivel del estado que nos puede traer muchos beneficios acá a nuestra ciudad a nivel local. You know, we can't forget those benefits.
Absolutely not. I don't believe that we have pursued our fair share of federal dollars over time. And I believe that is part of the reason that some communities have suffered more than others. That it's our money, and we should go get it and bring it back. So I have those relationships in D.C. I still have my relationships, obviously, in Tallahassee, and actually across this country and internationally. I've been to Panama, so I knew what the big ships looked like that we needed to come to our port.
That's right.
Taiwan, I've seen the ports. You could see cranes all the way down until you can't see anymore.
Wow.
And understanding the potential of the major, extra major, I'll put it that way, city that Jacksonville can be. I've already got that down, and
sounds like you have a plan.
Yes, that's part of my plan. So, many organizations, healthcare related. I am a strong advocate for Alzheimer's disease, and I sit on that state committee, community hospice. I'm on that.
Great.
I'm also Scenic Jacksonville, Library Advisory Board, and that's just to name a few. But you know something? I care about my community, and I've always wanted to be engaged. And I thank you so much for having me.
Thank you, thank you. La queremos agradecer a la senadora por estar con nosotros y thank you again for coming and spend some time with us. Y espero que nuestra comunidad hispana esté bien informada cuando es tiempo de votar el 21 de marzo, ahora que está viniendo dentro de poquito, 21st of March, no se olviden. Bueno, thank you very much.
Thank you.
No se vayan, ya venimos con José Cuetos que nos va a hablar un poquito del mercado aquí de casas en Jacksonville. Ya venimos.